I saw Denise was leading this presentation. I used to live in the DC area. So thanks for the possibility to participate today. I am a mom and so have, spent a good part of the past decade kind of in the parenting role, but also working part-time at nonprofits. I'm an executive director of a small nonprofit here now in my area. And so I guess I'm just kind of rethinking my values a little bit, and we'll probably do some of the, go to some of the sites that you suggested to consider those, because I am currently working in a role where this was my passion to do this work,
Yeah.
but it almost is too much of my life invested in it. It's what is so important to me, but now that I'm doing it, I feel like I'm eating, sleeping, breathing it all the time, and it
Yeah.
might not be the right fit. So I'm kind of, reconsidering that now and trying to figure out, part of it, I think, is the size of the organization, and being in a very small organization, we do a little bit of everything. So I kind of like having more of a team to work with, and that's something that I've recognized. So those are some of the things on my mind right now. And if you have thoughts about that, or any further
Well,
guidance.
it's interesting, Andrea. You say something that I always like to help people. One thing I find is really helpful around clarity is you need to know what you want to say yes to first, and then that helps you to know what to say no to. I think we often go into the no first. No, I shouldn't do this, or I need to set this boundary. But if you need to say yes, like, what is the yes about? Is it the cause that you're working in? Is that a really profound yes? And that might enable you to say, oh, then the no is these other components that I need to let go of. So to be able to kind of frame that is super critical. It's also critical, and you all know I've spent 25 years in this line of work and working with people that are kind of careers with purpose, and that it is often, for those of us who have careers that are like social causes, it's hard to kind of separate sometimes. And sometimes we have to take a pause from having something that's that intensity. And there's no shame in that. I speak and I write a lot about career shame, that we feel this career shame, whether we're not at the executive level, we're not, the chief technology officer should be, we're not the executive, we're not saving the world that we should be. And there's a journey to your story, and that it's being okay with maybe right now, how do you dial that back in a way where you get to focus on the things that you want to say yes to. And that's really hard. It's not an easy decision, because generally when you do that, it's going to involve some pain points. So it's figuring out what's okay with that. What's a pain point that you're okay with? Who are you okay with disappointing? Knowing what ball you can drop and what you can't drop. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
recognized there's no perfect work-life balance.
I can't stand when people talk about work-life balance. I find it is, it sets these expectations up for people. It's the same way I don't like the world about the dream job, the perfect job. That's just not life, right? It never is life. Like, career happiness is not about the perfect job. It's about finding something that fits with where you are, with what you're doing, and thinking about where you want to spend your time and your values. So I say, career happiness is not about the job you want. It's not about the career you want. It's about the life you want. And how does that look at the end of your life? When you're 50 years from now, looking back, what do you want to say that you have spent time doing and valuing that plays to who you are, not with what you think you should be? I always say to people, one of the clues is to really notice when you're using the word should a lot. You have to stop shoulding on yourself. Right? An activity that people do, sometimes the work, and sometimes when I do executive coaching through my coaching business, and you don't have to do it for that long. You can sometimes do it for 2 or 3 days, is to keep a list next to your desk of different things that happen during the day, and have 3 columns. What's an energy gainer, what's an energy drainer, and what's neutral. And to set up a spreadsheet kind of with this on your desk or in your phone or whatever it is, and that you're noticing those things. I worked with a client that was doing international development work, and she's based in Africa. And she was struggling in management roles. And she was like, why am I struggling? I know people. She did this activity and realized it was because what she wanted to say yes to, she was in the flow every time she did the technical evaluation work at her NGO. That lit up her strengths. She didn't realize it till she had done that. It wasn't that the other work she was bad at, it was just a neutral for her. So she didn't want to spend her time doing that. And just doing that over the span of, I think she did it about a week, and then we debriefed it. Then she started to block out more time in her schedule to do that, ask for more projects with that. And eventually she came back to work with me. It was through her company originally. And then she came back for individual coaching just with me. She had completely transitioned into a more technical role at her company and was profoundly happier. But in our world of work, we tend to reward the career advancement, which often means up and up in management, instead of thinking about what do you want that to be. As we were talking earlier, one of my a dear friend of mine said, I'm more concerned with the depth of my career than the height. So it's for you to know where you're going in that.